Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And I'm looking down because I'm feeling into how relevant today's topic is for me, because this has been coming up. And I don't know if it was subconsciously because Lisa was going to be on the show, but this thing about the Akashic Record. And I just got back from Egypt and I was in a trip to Peru, and it's so alive in me, but it feels substantial in so many ways. Like its time has come in a more profound way, or maybe in a way that we can receive it at a deeper level for the healing and the awareness and the growth that wants to come through. So today's call is going to be phenomenal. I'm so excited to dive in with all of y'all as Lisa talks about quantum healing through your Akashic record. And Lisa, if you aren't aware who Lisa is, which most of y'all do, but she's the #1 best-selling author of The Infinite Wisdom of the Akashic Records and From Questioning to Knowing, 73 Prayers to Transform Your Life. So if anyone knows about this subject and can guide people through it, either through her workshops, through private sessions, which some of that's going to be in the special offer, it's Lisa. She's phenomenal at this. What else can I tell you about Lisa? Lisa's the founder of the Akashic Knowing School of Wisdom, where she's taught thousands of students worldwide to access their personal soul library, to receive wisdom, guidance, and support to transform their life. I mean, don't you want to know how to access that library on your own? And she has more than 30 years of experience in spiritual healing, and she teaches empowerment tools to help you find greater fulfillment, happiness, abundance, and health. And she offers Akashic reading and quantum healing sessions to heal trauma, release karma, clear old soul contracts and vows, and helping individuals align with their soul's plan and path. And Lisa, I don't know why I didn't think of this. I'm buying the special offer because I want the discount code to book a private session with you. Because this has been coming up so strongly for me after being in the Sphinx and the Hall of Records and all that. It's phenomenal. Lisa, welcome to the show. I'm going to stop yabbing. I'm just so excited.
Thank you, John. It is always great to be here with you. And I was just in Egypt in September 2020. So we'll have to, get on a call and chat about our experiences in all of that phenomenal energy. So yes, definitely.
Why am I feeling the Akashic Records so alive right now? What's happening? What's your awareness?
Oh, wow. It's been an interesting few years, but the way I really have been feeling it is as people have been spending a little more time at home, the vibration of Gaia is raising, as more people are waking up and meditating and just discovering more information, it has finally hit a point that the record keepers told me about 30 years ago when they said, it's time to bring this wisdom back to humanity because it was pulled away from the planet back in the dark ages. So I've been working at it. They asked me to help them to anchor it back into the planet. And so more and more and more people have become conscious of it over the last 20 years. But really after just the last 2 or 3, I feel it really deepening. And, there's so much of this energy that is now relevant, because when they told me 30 years ago that it was everyone's birthright to access their own Akashic records and have this wisdom, I thought, I don't know where you guys are, but I mean, I know where they are, but that's not time yet, but it's time now. So this year, since January, I felt this really big shift also. And I feel that people are really ready to be divinely guided, to understand their soul's plan, who they are, why they're here, all of that information. So, I think you're really connecting into that stronger it feels almost more physical energy. And you may have really brought some of that back from Egypt, being in that vibration.
It's so strong. So let's take it back just a little bit for anybody who perhaps maybe has a confused or maybe not firmly grounded awareness of what the Akashic are. the Akashic Records are.
Absolutely. So the Akashic Record is the recording of your soul's journey from really the beginning of your soul individuation until this moment. And of course, because there's no time and space, it includes the future and all the past and all the planets, planes, and dimensions. So your soul's record is phenomenally expansive, and it holds the energy and the plan that your soul made before you embodied this time. So it's very, very useful for your life, as well as just the phenomenal realization of who we truly are as these eternal, infinite souls that have had hundreds and hundreds of lives here on Earth, as well as probably thousands or millions in other places, planes, and dimensions.
Oh, is there a difference between what they call the Hall of Records and the Akashic Records?
You know, it's a great question. And what I see, the way I see it, is kind of the Akash, this vibration, this etheric field that is part of the quantum field, part of source energy. That is what we call really the Akashic Records. I believe that there are some physical, and it may not be in this dimension because we haven't found them yet, but some physical Hall of Records. And I believe there is definitely one in Egypt. When I was there a year or so ago, I was in a sacred site, which I believe is called the Seraphim, which I really should look up one day. Did you go there?
I don't think I went to the Seraphim, but I could be wrong.
Big. It's the one that had the huge sarcophagus. They used to say, they would say that they would.
I have been there. Yeah, it's huge.
Yes, Seraphim.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Whatnot. And there's like carved spaces into the walls when you walk in that looks almost like spaces for books. I don't know if you remember that, but when I walked in there, the energy was so strong, it almost literally knocked me off my feet. And I got so much energy, information, energetic, downloaded into my body that I could only stand there for 30 minutes. And really, it was interesting because my left palm was up and my right hand was writing. And it was like I was transcribing the energy from this place, literally like into my body, and reclaiming some of that Akashic information, because that's what I get was in those huge sarcophagus.
Wow.
Was they were storing all of this ancient wisdom before the floods. So I believe it's very old, and I believe that there was not bulls at all, but phenomenal sacred information in these huge containers.
Oh, that's so amazing. And that information, Lisa, again, that's something that we can bring forward with that information now. And there's a way that you bring people to access so they can actually bring healing in, and you actually work with what you call quantum healing in your Akashic Records. And I want you to dive deeper into that for us, because this is why I'm so excited. Well, for so many reasons, but this particular topic for our audience and what's available, it's just so beneficial for where we are and our ability to, and how we're creating now, and perhaps even recreating.
Absolutely. So what I've seen happen over the years that I've been in the Akash, hanging out with the record keepers and having very long conversations with these beautiful beings of light who are here to support us, who are keeping our records. So as the energy gets closer, for lack of a better way to say it, because the way they described it is during the Dark Ages, so about 1,000 years ago, they literally pulled the vibration of the Akashic Records away from the planet so that people could no longer access it because we were using it for our own gain instead of for the good of all.
Mm.
And so if you can imagine, vibrationally, it became too high, especially during the Dark Ages, that the only people who could access it were the mystics or the priests or the really people who were in deep meditative states. But now they said it's time for us all so that we really can, this adds to us helping to raise the vibration of Gaia, of the whole planet, of humanity. So it's important for us to start to reach into that energy, to access it, because as more and more of us do this, it anchors it into the body. And of course, because we're standing on the planet, into the earth. And actually, what they keep saying is the more embodied we are, the more grounded we are, the easier it is for us to be into these very deep, expansive states. And so often when I open the Akashic Records, I literally feel like I'm in the void. I'm just in this dark kind of expansive state or space until a client asks a question, or if it's me that have questions that I want to ask. So the question will bring, it's almost like these beautiful Akashic beings of light will then pull in the answer from this quantum field, from this void, and they'll show it to me.
Wow.
So that's what I really start to notice is sometimes when we'd say, what is blocking me? What is stopping me from moving forward and say, creating something new? The void would turn into this kind of beautiful, spinning golden ball of energy, but it looked more like spinning lights around me. And then I'd see all these little bubbles of past lives that were, so this is the way they showed me this quantum field that we can access. And so I could energetically know that life, let's work on healing those, clearing the trauma we experienced in those lifetimes, the energy that's blocking us. Sometimes they're past life vows or karmic contracts or soul contracts with a group that's blocking us from owning that energy, owning those memories and those gifts. And so as we can go through, because now there's no time and space in this quantum field, we can, to me, it's almost like I just take that life and I work on one life at a time, usually. Clear the trauma, clear the pain, release whatever is blocking us, like I say, contracts, vows, whatever it is. And then as we heal that, I literally will see that life transform. Like, say that person maybe was killed for, for being a healer or a spiritual teacher. I will see them the knife is removed, their head's back on, they're not hung anymore. And literally energetically, their body will shift back into wholeness and really into this beautiful energy of light. And so we can then reclaim the gifts that they had in that lifetime and bring those gifts again, because we're in no time space, we can really merge those gifts and talents with the person, the body in this moment in time. So
I love the way you're describing this. And it's because I had a very profound experience years ago, and I'll share it quickly because it's so relevant, y'all. And again, it's in the field, and if I can access it, I know y'all can too, especially if you're guided through energies and the whole particular vibration. But I got taken into this meditation, got taken out to the central sun. And then I started going backwards, back towards Earth. And on either side of this platform that I was on, it's like I was bringing back gifts that I had lost because of trauma. And then the traumas were dissolving on either side, and only the gifts were coming up. And that kept going on for a long time, like all these past lives, just integrating the strengths, but doing away with the trauma. So the lighting up, the golden field, the coming into wholeness was happening over and over. And when I landed, when that journey was over with all these past lives, I was just standing in a void, that darkness. And the voice that came is like, so what do you want to create now? And it's, and the way you speak about it, Lisa, and your access to that on a continuous basis, for me, it was like a one-off, and I have a process to go back from time to time, but your ability to hold that space in its integrity, to see what's being created from there, is so profound. And I want to ask you, how has these type of processes and your ability to hold that field so steady, how has it affected your clients' awarenesses of soul contracts or vows that they've had, that it's actually shifted something in their waking reality?
It absolutely does, because of course, because we are, so multidimensional, we have so many energetic layers, and literally just by witnessing, just by me being able to tell them about a lifetime in which they were a teacher in an ancient mystery school, that they were part of the Essenes, or that they were in the temples in ancient Egypt, the energy is very transferable. Because when I work one-on-one with people, especially, right, I'm bringing them into the energy of the Akash with me. And even when I do, and we'll probably do some collective healing, I love to bring everybody into the Akashic field with me, so that what we do, even in this kind of group work, we can connect. You may not, as a first-time person, you may not particularly hear or get specific information from your record keepers, because I'm bringing you into the Akashic field of the group all together. But your record keepers are there with you, and they're doing the specific healing for you. And so it's a huge, infinite energy field. And so over all these years, they've really helped me to develop this energy, this awareness, this, gift or ability to heal large groups of people. And, I've taken to really doing it more and more, because it's such an important time in history to heal and unravel and unwrite a lot of the old programs and a lot of these old beliefs and emotional pains and traumas that are still keeping us really stuck.
Something that's been fascinating for me as well, and I've had this awareness, and you've actually written it in some of your summary, is that we actually have, there's I guess I'll call it an ability, and I'm sure you'll bring in a word that's more congruent, that we have the ability to rewrite our Akashic records now.
Yes, if it's appropriate, absolutely. And so, of course, once they told me that, I was like, yes, let's fix everything.
Yeah, but it's phenomenal. It's like, really? Okay.
Well, but it is important to realize, and I do kind of laugh, because sometimes clients will come to me and they'll say, can we clear all my karma? And, of course, the record keepers say, no, sorry, it doesn't quite work that way. We can really clear and unhook, and there's a lot of sticky energy with some of these old past lives, that the trauma from another lifetime or from your childhood can stay stuck in your field. And to me, it will look a bit like a white hot ball of light, and not in a positive way, right? We want to get rid of those, because those are kind of balls of negative energy, usually, that we can't move past. It's like, okay, if you had these lights in front of you, you kind of keep trying, but you can't get around them. And obviously we can't see them usually with our eyes, but they're still there nonetheless. So there's a lot of emotional pain that we hold in our energy field. And so when we can clear them out by moving into the quantum field, by having the Akashic record keepers guide us and explain where they are and what they are, through the witnessing, through the understanding, and again, through the tools that I will, teach my more advanced students, to be able to clear and release a lot of this emotional pain and trauma. And like I say, sometimes they are karmic patterns that you've completed, but that is energetically stuck in your field. So we can get rid of those. We can clear past life vows that don't serve you. And I figure no past life vow actually serves you, because you're not living in this moment in that life. They're often holding us back in this life. Group contracts. We have a lot of group contracts from families or groups that we belong to in other lifetimes, that we said, I will only do this healing with this group. Because especially if you think about the Dark Ages, it was the Dark Ages for a reason, right? There was very little light on the planet. And so we literally had to come together to get enough energy to heal things as a group. Now we're powerful enough to do it alone. So we want to clear and release these group contracts that say, I can only do it with my collective, because that's not valid anymore and it's holding us back. So lots of those sorts of aspects. Past life vows of poverty, of course, someone just texted in. And, all of those are part of where we were in the world at that time. And so those we can clear, and those are fabulous to release, because again, it allows us to rewrite some of the bigger programs. And programs are a bit of a different thing, because they're not about karma. They're about a very collective energy, belief, conscious and unconscious programs that we have in this society, and other people program us. So we really can delete and unravel those and rewrite those sorts of aspects of our records.
Oh, this is amazing. And we can also write, well, I'm not sure, I guess I should ask you, but also writing, we have these karmic vows with people in our lives also. And is it possible to go into the Akashic, not necessarily to override the karma, but to approach it from a higher level of understanding, so that we're not repeating the same karma over and over again?
Yes, absolutely. To me, that is the point, the purpose of life. In the weird nutshell, we say, as a huge infinite soul, we say, we want to come back and we want to learn and grow more. There's more things to understand. And so we create karmic patterns over many lifetimes. And we say, okay, now I want to go and work through that karmic pattern. I want to work through that energy. And so we write soul contracts with other people, to be the person that I need to work through that karmic pattern with. And when we can understand that, again, to me, it's all about seeing the bigger picture. When I can know that I'm not this little finite person, that I've lived 1,000 lifetimes on this planet alone, then I can start to realize, okay, I know a lot more than I think I know. And I can start to access that information. And I can realize, the record keepers always say, we create these karmic patterns to learn about compassion, love, forgiveness, eventually awakening. And so when we can understand that and start to look at those bigger patterns, like, if I can forgive you, then I can move out of that trauma, that drama, that anger, the hurt, the pain, all of that energy that's keeping us stuck in what we consider like a karmic pattern. And I can rise above it and say, okay, not easy, but I can forgive. Right? And so it's actually very simple tools that can transform our lives.
Well, and the ripple effects on an energetic level, going into the records, it creates different timelines that we have access to that are on an elevated more aligned level with the benevolence that's ready to meet us as we align to it.
Absolutely. And it's kind of fun when we can start to see in our life those timelines, shifting up, because we start to notice things, are easier. Things are in flow, right? Everything's lining up with grace. And then we realize, yes, we've made some shifts. We've realized, some things that we've, let go of, we've forgiven, we've let go of some of the drama, which is a big thing for us to be able to let go of as humans who believe that, maybe this is it. And so that the compassion, the seeing the bigger picture, to me, all of that makes it easier to start to raise your vibration, right? Raise your frequency, step onto a higher timeline. And then going through and, to me, of course, being able to clear, release, and delete a lot of the old junk that's stuck in your records. It's kind of like, it's almost like taking these books off the shelf and shaking them out and getting rid of the dust and going, oh, well, yeah, I could see that was kind of painful and traumatic. And I can see what I learned, and I can see how I grew in that lifetime. And now I'm taking those gifts and I'm receiving the gifts, the energy of the love and the light that came from that lifetime. And really, by reading your records, even though they're not all happy and light, we've died a lot here on this planet. Not all fun here, right? But when we can see that and understand and be at peace with that and be the forgiveness and the compassion and the love, we in this lifetime can transform.
Why has the time come? Again, I've been feeling this so strongly over the last, we talked about maybe my connection to Egypt and other things. And even other than that, it just feels like the time for our connection to these records is like, it's come. There's something awakening or available that perhaps we weren't in a place to receive or have a relationship with. Why is it now so strong to update these soul contracts?
Well, I actually believe that a lot of it is the awakening of Gaia herself, right? So as this beautiful sentient being that we're all riding on is waking up, we have to wake up too, or we leave, right? And so we've come to the point, and energetically we're in a new age, and this new age will be a golden age. Now, kind of how quickly that golden age shows up is a little bit up to us, right? There's a whole part of free will that we still have as humans, right? So, but being able to step into that energy of the higher vibration of Gaia herself, of Mother Earth herself, and then really realigning, I feel like it's beneficial for most of us, again, to do even short meditations, realign to the new energy of the earth, to realign to the beautiful really energies that have been showing up in our world that haven't been here before. So as we do that, the more we can do that, the more we as a collective are raising the vibration. And so fingers crossed that much sooner than later, right, that we really start to transform and to flip into this higher fourth dimensional, fifth dimensional, really living there. And I'm starting to even feel like the eighth dimension. I don't know why I skip over the whatever sixth, seventh, but I keep jumping into the eighth and feeling that. So it's coming.
It's the access we have. And again, people's willingness to open up to this intelligence in a way that has been constricted before is just a beautiful indication of what's become available to so many as we expand our consciousness. Lisa, I want to get into a little bit of Q&A. I feel like there's some great questions coming in from the audience. And I like to clarify some from about the Akash in the question. So I think this is wonderful. And we'll get into the special offer here in a little bit. But Lisa, if you're okay with it, let's start with some Q&A.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. So Jasmine, let's go to you. Welcome to the call.
Thank you so much. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Hi. So I have a question for you about relationships. I seem to be attracting people into my life that are emotionally unavailable, and I get very attached. I know that they're not for me, but there's a strong karmic pull to them, if that makes sense. And sometimes I get a pain in my back shoulder. I don't know if that's about the relationship or not, but if there's any guidance you have on that.
Let's see what the record keepers say. So what the record keepers are sharing is that that you had quite a few lifetimes in the last 500 years. So you've had like 3 lifetimes, say, in the last 500 years. And those were not particularly easy times, especially for women. And you were a woman in those 3 lifetimes. There was a lot of energy of really total dependence. And so part of why you came, one of the things you really wanted to learn about and work through is your own self-empowerment, your self-love, stepping into your own power, creating the life that you desire, and to learn that you have all of that within you, all of those gifts within you, and you don't need anyone to create that. And so once you step more fully into those energies, then the person who is really there for you, that clear, supportive soul contract that you have written, will be able to show up. But it's like, until you do a little more self-love, self-empowerment balance in your life, it's hard for that person, that highest and best partner, to show up.
So how do I do that? I feel like I've been working on this for so long, so I don't know what's blocking me. Like, I don't know why that is still present. Like, my creativity is blocked. I feel like I'm not creating. I just feel like everything's just very stagnant. So I don't really understand why or what that, if there's one. Yeah.
I always wish it was an easy answer, like there's one little thing that you can pull that thread and it's all done. You know, and I'm not specifically in your records, I'm in the group energy, but what they're saying is there is something, and it feels like it's something that you are aware of, but maybe not trusting, that's important for you to create. I don't know if that makes sense. Do you have your own business, or are you?
I'm starting one, trying to now. It's just not flourishing the way that I want it to be, essentially.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Let me just see if I can, and we can do a little group healing, but there's something that they just want to unweave for you there. I just feel this energy. It feels kind of like, feels actually like an old hook. And so we'll unhook that, and I'm just going to ask your record keepers to bring in any gift, talent, wisdom that will help you to create this business for yourself.
Thank you.
Because stepping forward in that way, really bringing your gifts forward, is the empowerment that, you know, part of that empowerment that they're talking about, that energy of, right, I know this, I've got the gifts, I can do this. And as that starts to create and coalesce more strongly, you know, it's like a snowball. It rolls, it builds.
Yeah.
And then there's a beautiful energy of flowering and opening that really opens your heart to feel like, okay, now I'm ready to share my gifts and your gifts of your soul.
Beautiful. Jasmine, thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
Yeah. And something I'd suggest for you, Jasmine, also, whenever
Yeah.
you feel those feelings of anxiety or confusion or nervousness coming in,
Yeah.
temperance is slowing down. It's like, oh, I'm anxious. Oh, I'm nervous. Oh, I'm feeling confused, regardless of the source. And a lot of times relationships bring it up because we have those past lives, the attachments, all that. And I'm speaking from experience, by the way. So it's not just the reading. As you breathe into that and you attune your body and your nervous system by just pausing for it to calm down, now you're not running off of the energy of the parasympathetic nervous system and feeding it. You're bringing yourself back to you. And then you can show up in clarity to whatever that relationship is. And what will happen as a translation of that, you'll see more clearly the other person as well. They won't be able but to help to show up transparently on a soul level because they're matching your vibration more clearly. But more importantly, you're able to discern the difference of what is in alignment with you and what doesn't serve you anymore because you've graduated from that in other lifetimes. And it's time to move on now. So a very grounded approach and awareness. And really, it's a practice of self-love. It's not a practice of superseding something to overcome something mentally to make money, to get a business off. It's a practice of self-love. And just remember that over and over again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to another caller. Diana, welcome. It's been a while. If it's the Diana Valencia, I think it is.
Yes, it's me. Thank you for having me, John and Lisa. Good evening. I'll be quick. One of the things I've struggled is what is my life purpose? I'm already 45 and I'm still asking this question, and I've already tapped out to what I'm doing now, more like burned out. So if Lisa, you could help me try to figure out where I can go from here, or how do I
am happy to tell you what the record keepers are saying. and I'm betting that it's not what you're hoping to hear, but basically what the record keepers are saying is that we have many purposes. Most people have at least a half a dozen purposes. And they always kind of, laugh because they say you would be so bored if you had one job, right? And so what they want you to do is to kind of go from the flow of your heart and your soul and what brings you joy and what brings you happiness, right? Joy is such a big energy. Happiness can be super simple in a lot of ways. But what they're saying is you have lots of beautiful gifts. But what happens is that we take our own gifts for granted. And so we kind of devalue them because we're like, I've always been able to do that, whatever it might be. And we have so many gifts. So what they want to say is, think about what brings you joy, what's fun and easy and joyful and, makes you happy. And those are often not related to your job or how you make money. Right. So often our gifts of helping to raise the vibration of humanity doesn't show up as being a healer. It may show up as working in a bank, but sharing that energy and that light with hundreds of people on a regular basis. It's a big part of actually being a light worker, being in the world and sharing our love and our joy with people, raising their vibration. Because again, it just ripples out and it's beautiful. So honestly, they don't want you to worry about it. They say you've got a long time ahead of you, and you will do so many things. And when you look back, you'll laugh and you'll think, wow, I had all those gifts, all that fun, all those talents. And I worried. So no worry.
Thank you so much. I knew you were going to say that. I knew. I guess I just wanted confirmation, but you're absolutely right. Yes, I will tap into whatever makes me happy. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you, John.
Wonderful. Thank you. It's great to see you. Lisa,
Likewise.
and this also brings up for me, of course, it's so many of us are carrying forward collective trauma, family, ancestral trauma, and childhood trauma, and other types that even as we seek these expressions of joy or seek intimate relationships that are fulfilling and empowering, these traumas are coming up very strongly right now. And I think it's part of the Akashic update, rewriting, if you will, of being free from it in a way where we've been so enmeshed with not knowing how to get out of the trauma.
What the record keepers have said a couple of years ago, they say really the vibration, the energy of the Akashic field, of the quantum field, really of all of the these records has literally been cleared of karma.
Mm.
And they say we as humans are still holding the energy, this kind of karmic wheel of life that we've talked about forever. And the thing they say is that if you just dropped it, we who are in a body, who are in a life, would be lost. We would feel like, who am I and now what do I do, right? And so they can't delete it. It's the same kind of thing they say is if they just cleared all the karma, if they cleared all the soul contracts, we would all be unanchored. We wouldn't know who we were. We would all be awake sitting on a park bench, but nobody cook for us, right? So it's a bit of a catch-22 because we are embodied. But what they also say is that so many of these new children who are coming in will not be bringing in these old patterns because they're coming in this time. But those of us who have been around for a lot of years, or even if it's only 20 or 30 years, we still came in, most of us still came in with these patterns, with these projects, with these plans to work through. Because we didn't know, again, free will, we could have blown our world up. And so we came in still with so much to learn and to grow around. So it's just not in the cards at the moment, but the way I get it, and it's always interesting because it's hard to imagine something you've never seen or experienced. But the way they kind of show me some of these energies is that's what we're starting to feel right now on the planet. We're trying to clear a lot of these huge old programs, right, of around, heavy male energy, control, fear, imbalance, all of that, war, to say the least. And it will be a process of clearing. And that is literally what we're doing. And as that happens, it will get lighter and lighter and lighter. And we will stop worrying. We will stop stressing so much. We'll realize our relationships are all of a sudden like much more kind and loving. There are no, I just believe these energies will start to fall away. But I can't say if that's in the next 5 years or in the next 50 years. It actually has to do with the humans on the planet. So, but it's coming, and I believe it will eventually just fall away. And the more work we do for ourselves, the more love we give, the more compassion we share, the more of our own healing work we do. Again, working in the Akashic Records is something you can learn to do for yourself. The more we do, the faster it releases for humanity.
Right. And how wonderful to live the embodied experience, to be able to share from that place. And I brought this up because this has so much to do with the special offer. And there's, I feel for so many, for me also, new levels of healing. And for me, healing is where we've separated from the awareness that love is in existence in every interaction. there's new levels of healing that are going to release ties that have bound us to a glass ceiling financially, a glass ceiling of what's possible in relationships, a glass ceiling of what's possible in our health and longevity and vitality, and so on. So what Lisa is bringing forward in the special offer, I believe it's something that we can all benefit from tremendously as we're going into those other layers, and releasing, again, the binds that don't serve anymore. So Lisa, I'd love it if you'd go through what people are going to receive when they participate. Everybody, the link for the special offers in the chat box. It's the last question, comment from April at the very bottom. Or you can open up a new web browser and type in beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Lisa27, and it'll take you to that same page. And Lisa, if you don't mind, guide us through what everybody's going to receive through the package. And again, I'm taking advantage of the 25% off for my reading because I want a reading as well.
You're so sweet. Yeah, so this is really about healing emotional pain and trauma through your Akashic records. And as I've been talking about this quantum field and how the way I see it as we go, and I say, what's the emotional pain that's blocking us at this time that's connected to, whatever it might be. And I can see them kind of pull them out, pluck them out of this big spinning quantum ball of energy and heal them. And then we put them back in and they're all healed and bright and clear. And people feel that energy. I always kind of laugh because I would say that 95% of the people that I do healing for say, I feel lighter and I feel happier. It's just kind of at the end of a call, they always like, I feel lighter, I feel so much better. I just feel happier. And I always laugh because it's so kind of nondescript. But the truth is it's taking this weight and this heaviness and this darkness from our energy field and frees us up literally to move forward. I feel like it would be like, every once in a while, Gulliver's Travel pops into my head. And that's like what they show me is this, big giant who's tied down by all these ropes, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm going through and cutting all the ropes. And then the giant can sit up and be free and stand up and walk away. And he would say, I feel so much lighter, right? So there's my weird version of energetic clearing for you. But what really has happened, especially over the last 2 years with all that we've experienced and the kind of separation and loneliness and fear and just the challenges. If you weren't traumatized before, you were traumatized by that, right? I don't know, honestly, anyone who wasn't. And I was doing my own personal clearing on an old trauma, really from my teenage years when my two best friends both died. And I went back and I thought, really, 40 years later, are you kidding me? I'm still working on this. But again, we work in levels and layers, and it's hard to clear something unless it's actually up for us. And so the gift of COVID to me has been that it's brought our levels of emotional trauma up to the surface to be released. And so it's like, wow, yay, now let's do that. So in this package, basically what I did is I went through and said, I'm going to work on childhood trauma. And I spent 2 hours healing all these different aspects that just kept coming up around childhood trauma, right? Some of us have been traumatized just by our parents' divorce, and we don't think about it. But if you imagine that if your parents were fighting all the time, or your parent moved out of the house and never came back and you were abandoned, right? So there's abandonment. It goes on and on and on in so many different ways. And of course, you can read it on the page. But we work with things like self-doubt and unworthiness that came up because we felt like our parents got divorced because it was our fault. We weren't good enough. We weren't worthy. We were abandoned. So all these layers and emotional pains, I literally go through energetically and clear, including the abuse around, childhood abuse. And so there's 2 hours of healing around that. And then releasing pain from past relationships. I have healed so many people who have broken hearts. They have damage to their heart chakra from a hard breakup, from a, challenging divorce or whatever the pain is. And sometimes it's years and years and years later. It could be 5 years or 10 years or 20 years later. They're like, I don't know why I cannot have a new relationship, but my heart still hurts. And so we really go through and do a lot of healing around relationships, past relationships, old patterns that we've gotten into, sometimes old vows that are still there, physical, emotional, verbal abuse, right? So we just went through and cleared another 2 hours around relationships.
Wow.
And then I love to do the work around the health, because a lot of these pain points in our body create discomfort and disease in the body. So definitely a whole 2 hours around that. And then what I've noticed with a lot of the people I've worked with is there's a level of trauma that is connected to addiction. And sometimes it's, alcohol or drugs, sometimes it's food or shopping or gambling, right? All these this emotional pain and trauma, we're trying to make ourselves feel better by diverting ourselves from that pain. And it can turn into a addiction or like a eating disorder. So we spend hours on that. And then we do some work around clearing the things that block us from loving ourselves, low self-esteem, and even past lives where we weren't good enough to marry. We didn't have enough money. Maybe we were not smart enough or pretty enough, or we were lepers. We've had some pretty wild lives, let me just say. So we do clearing around that. And then there's a PDF that has some of the Akashic healing prayers to support you as you go through listening to these audios. I think it's almost 10 hours of audios then.
Wow.
And my rainbow shield, which the record keepers always say is one of the greatest, simplest tools to create good boundaries, because after we create heal, release, remove all this energy from our field, our energy field, we want to fill ourselves up with our highest Akashic energy and this beautiful golden Akashic light. And then we create a nice rainbow shield so that we are protected as we go out into the world. So that's one of the bonuses. And of course, the bonus to save 25% on a Akashic consultation and healing session with me if you want to work personally with me. And all that for only $97.
Yeah, $97 and a 2-payment option and a 30-day money back guarantee. So that's phenomenal to have this. And someone wrote in here, you just named every trauma that I've had in this life. While I'm doing great, there are some blocks, and I wouldn't even say blocks. There's an evolution that you're ready to experience, and it's just time. So even the perspective around blocks, it's there's divine timing and divine grace that's at play. It's not, and the blind spots perhaps have been purposeful, because not only is the healing for you, but you're also healing something for the collective. So there's so much more happening simultaneously than our individuated desire to move beyond something. So when we say that you're light workers and healers and all that, I see it in that way. And again, we're moving into a time where the collective has been healed because you've been healing. And to transcend those energies whose time has come to transcend, this is what this work is about for me. And we're all elevating to places that we probably have never experienced before. That's what it feels like to me. And to do it with the grace and ease and the support of being able to communicate with the record keepers, to have a guide like Lisa with all her experience and compassion and awareness and straight talk to bring you into your truth. It's like, this is phenomenal for the pricing, for what's available, for the transformation that's available, and for the 25% discount for private reading. Which I'm really looking forward to that. I'm excited about my reading. I haven't booked it yet, but I'm excited about it. I hope you all take advantage of the special offer. Yeah.
And I actually would love to mention, I just think it's so cute because she says, hard to take seriously with your giggles. And, thank you for saying that, because here's the thing. I spend most of my days healing gory past lives. And part of my soul purpose, one of my half a dozen purposes, is to do that for people. But one of the things the record keepers, have showed me, and one of the reasons I love doing it through the records is that we do not have to relive the gore. So I always say that I'm very clairvoyant, but my clairvoyance needs glasses. And what that means to me is that I am claircognizant, so I know, clairaudient, so I hear, but I get this really bad out of focus snapshot of, say, that life, that person being hung or drawn and quartered or whatever it happens to be, right? So I have this kind of bad vision of it, or very vague vision of it. And so what they say is this is about acknowledging and releasing. They don't want us to go into the pain and turn it into a place where we relive it. They don't want us to create a drama around it. And I've had many different clients come to me, and some of them said, someone told me that I was burned at the stake in a past life, and that's like freaked me out. And what can we do about that? And I always say, we can clear it. It is the greatest gift that we have access to in the Akashic Records. I would say that not a lot of people maybe know about that in the records, but because, again, as I explained, the whole piece about the quantum field, I see these little lives as kind of balls of energy, and I can pick it out. We can do some healing around it, create it back into wholeness, and literally put it back into that quantum continuum. So I don't have to deal with the gore, and neither do you. And that's why I do this for people. And I'm a little more serious on my calls, I'll say, but not all that much, because some of the pain I feel, and we really work very clearly around, but a lot of it, the record keepers themselves, these beings of light, are pure divine light and love. They don't want us to suffer. They want us to understand it, release it, be the compassion, the love, the forgiveness, so that we can move forward with ease and grace. And it's time. It's totally time for that. So my prayer is that I can be your guide to help you to move forward with ease and grace, to get onto your soul path that way, clearing the old, garbage and not having to relive it. So
yeah, I think that's a great explanation. And what is available and the approach. I mean, really, y'all have been doing work, a lot of y'all, for lots of years. You've done some heavy lifting. You know what you've been through, and the tone, physically, emotionally, mentally, all of it. I say it's time we have some fun. No, really. And
I'm with you.
If we've been having a little fun, it's also time that we turn up the volume on that, because it's shifting everything. And we've done it. we have done the work. So it's phenomenal. All right, y'all. The special offer, $97. The private session is not included in the special offer. What you have is you have a 25% off coupon for a session for 55 minutes. I believe is $444. Is that correct, Lisa? So you get 25% off of that, which is an incredible bargain. And you get all the recordings. And Lisa, someone's asking if this package would be appropriate for a child, for like a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old.
No, I would say, nope, it doesn't quite feel right for them. I've had teenagers, but there's kind of a consciousness, because sometimes I do talk about abuse or sexual abuse and some of these emotional pains. And 10 is a little young to be able to kind of know that we literally can clear and release some of this without having to dive too deep into it. So the record keepers are saying, no, 10's a little young right now.
Yeah, a wonderful response. And thank you for asking, Corey. All right, y'all, let's get into some more Q&A with Lisa. Take advantage of our time here. Kate, let's go to you now. Welcome to the call.
Hey, thank you, John. Hi, Lisa. I'm so excited. Thank you. I know you said you're delving into the group energy, so just tell me if this question doesn't work. Wanted to benefit others too. I have some chronic health issues that I don't know if the Akashic Records can give me a clue as to how to resolve those, and or it's related to moving forward with mediumship, intuition path, which is there. And I love, but the health issues are kind of slowing me down there. So whatever you can tell me in that way would be amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely. What they're showing me is some of them are hooks and some of them are actually knives in your back. And actually you were, it's a very unpleasant death in a war that is, that they're showing me, which is kind of interesting because we go through a lot of different types of wars. But this one, I'm not getting a huge story exactly about where it is, but what I know, it feels more like a crusade type of thing, that there was a great importance and you were a very powerful person. So there's the death around that felt like a huge defeat. And again, we bring these things back because we want to remember the truth of who we were. You as this very powerful person in that lifetime, and to reclaim the gifts and the wisdom, and to be able to know you've been that before, so you can stand in that power again as a very different person doing different work, granted, but that you're so much more than right just who you are now. And so that is what they want you to know. And definitely doing some past life healing. I don't know how much time, maybe we do a little bit of just kind of collective group healing around some of these pieces. You want to?
Let's do it. Yes.
Do that? All right. So let me actually do this a little more formally, because I like to kind of really consciously bring you into the energy. I think that feels more solid for us. So if you're at home and you can close your eyes, go ahead and do that. And let's just drop down into our sacred heart center, inviting our heart to open and expand a little bit further. And we ask the divine lords of unconditional love to help us center fully in this moment as we create this sacred space. Please wrap us in your love and protection, and allow us to travel to the highest realms of the Akasha available to us today. Please help us, we lay our multidimensional hearts open to divine love and release all resistance. Lords of the Akashic Record, please guide us to the deepest truth we can access now. Support us in healing and releasing that which no longer serves on our true path. give great thanks for your divine love and support on this journey today. And it's been a beautiful silvery blue column of light around us all, inviting our own personal Akashic record keepers in to help and support us in this healing today, if you choose to ask for that. Beautiful. And that's a kind of a good example of what I do in the program is I create this space and then we work on all of those 5 different things. So right now we're going to work on getting some swords out of your back and everyone else who has swords in their back. And apparently at least 75% of you do, they're saying, have some kind of sword or knife or some implement of destruction in your back. So we want our record keepers to remove, release, clear that. And any of the cords or hooks or wires that hold us in that past life energy, we want to unhook and delete and release all of those cords and connections so that we can be free to move forward in this life. We're going to do a little work around our necks. I'm seeing kind of throat chakra blocks that also come some from death, from lifetimes where we were speaking our truth and we were killed for that. So clear that, and I want to do some work around everybody's 5th chakra because we really want to open and clear them so we can speak our truth. Yeah. Ooh. Good, good. Yeah. Couple of big axes that people were getting rid of. Beheadings, all sorts of lovely things. Let's get rid of those. Whew. That's not serving us anymore. Whew. Let's just fill everyone up. Any place we've removed an axe, a sword, a knife, anything, disconnect to our heads. We bring that all back into alignment. We bring everyone back into wholeness in those lifetimes through all time, space continuum. We burn all group contracts, soul contracts we had in those lifetimes, especially martyr ones. We want to clear that. There was some definite martyr energy in there also, Kate. So getting rid of that is very useful for everyone. Anyone who had a martyr contract, group contract. I'm just doing some to make me cough. Clearing around our throat chakras to open and realign our throat chakras so that we can speak our truth in this life with ease and grace. Good. Just asking our record keepers to fill us with our highest Akashic energy, wisdom, and light. Good. Good. How does that feel, Kate? So since it was your question, I'll ask you, but everybody got a healing there.
Yeah, thank you so much. Amazing. Thank you.
Good. Absolutely.
I'm definitely signing up for both your package and the one-on-one, by the way. That was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kate. Great to have you here.
Thank you, John.
Cherokee, I'm walking around Target listening, but can totally feel the energy, the clearing of my heart, a lifting. Thank you. So wonderful. Yeah, and Kate, thank you for bringing this in for all of us.
Yes.
What a gift. All right, let's continue to our next caller. Patsy, let's go to you. Welcome to the call.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you well, yes.
Thank you. Oh, I'm just so surprised. Yeah, 2 years ago, my husband just passed away. I didn't believe in any of this stuff, but since he's been gone, it's opened up my whole new awakening in this, what I thought I knew as the spirit world. So I was told that, but actually, I was just wondering, had been told that I had been a life past dealing with the Holocaust. And I was just wondering if that was actually true. I felt like I sort of had to make up some of it with the person that I was helping me through it, but there was certain, I always felt trapped, or whatever would least might,
Absolutely. I do get that you were there. I am not I do not believe that you died in a concentration camp, but I do believe that you had to hide for a very long time, which is a huge, huge trauma. And just the fear. And so it's a great thing, especially as a group. So there's a lot of people who have energy around that. Again, what they're saying is probably they're saying 80% of the people had some sort of experience, one side or the other, whether they were hiding, whether they died in a concentration camp, or they were or they were German, or they were just, kind of scared in that time, or in another. I died in World War II. Yeah, I died in World War II in Italy. Kind of funny story. I'll tell you my weird aside. I don't tell this story very often, but
oh no, that's great.
My husband, who I've been married to now for 31 years, he and I were brother and sister in Italy during the World War II, and our parents were both killed in whatever the fighting there, and we eventually both got killed, but we were like rebels, whatever we were, and we both also died in World War II. So the first time I went back to Italy, it was very emotional, like remembering. And when I met him, it was kind of that same feeling, like, oh my God, where have you been? I was about 34 when I met him, and I was like, where have you been? There you are, and those are kind of very powerful, almost memories often of people who are part of our soul family, and that we often have a soul contract with, but not always. So I say that with a caveat, because sometimes we remember somebody from a past life, doesn't mean we have a soul contract with them this time. Anyway, that's a whole nother aside, but let's do some healing around World War II, around, all of that trauma that so many of us experienced in one way or another, whether we were fighting in the war, we were in Germany, or dying in a concentration camp. So really powerful. What the record keepers are talking about is clearing again this war energy, because that's our next huge step, is to clear war, the belief that war is somehow serving us. And so we'll clear all of that, and that aspect of the fear and of the hiding and the fear of being killed every day, every minute that you had in that life, Patsy, and that so many of us have had in one way or another. And many people have lived in war-torn countries, even in this life. So let's do some collective work on war, okay? So they actually are going to go back and start in Germany. They just want to start to clear a lot of the energy and the pain and the trauma around the concentration camps, and kind of start to drain some of that energy out of the field. It's interesting because sometimes if you've traveled a lot, what I notice is there's places that are very hard to go energetically because that pain is held in the earth. And so there's a lot of that they're clearing around these areas, around these towns where the concentration camps were. And especially so many of us are such empaths, right, that we really feel it. I'm going to the East Coast this summer, and I don't love to go to the East Coast because there was the Civil War. I feel it. All those ghosts. Oh my gosh. I'm a big fan of it. I don't think I could live on the, I mean, certain areas, Southeast Coast, I don't know. But yeah, so if you feel those things as an empath when you travel, it's real, right? So it's important to know, to know that. Really energetically, what my hands are doing is kind of unwriting, unweaving, clearing, releasing, and often deleting these emotional pains and trauma. So people sometimes feel that as something being pulled out of them or removed from them. Again, a lot of these are kind of wires or hooks or programs that also can look kind of like a cage. Anyway, so we're just clearing, releasing that. And just all of that emotional pain through all of Europe and World War II. There's a lot of what I call like spiritual pain or spiritual trauma. Really is very much like, how could we have been forsaken by source in this sort of way with these wars? So we're clearing those kinds of traumas, also that spiritual pain and trauma that many of us hold also as lives we've lost as spiritual leaders, teachers, healers. And so, and war, being in war. So just all of that, the record keepers are working on healing the layers that we can for everyone here. And of course, because it connects into what's going on again, right, with Ukraine and just wars around the planet. So just unhooking all of that is for everyone that has some of those hooks and pain. Helping us to move into our highest alignment so that we can be the light that will help to move humanity from war to peace, to forgiveness, to compassion. very strong. So it may make you feel dizzy even. I almost feel that kind of as a dizzying thing. So whew. Make sure you're still in your body and grounded. We're safe right now, right here. We ask all of our record keepers to help us to fill ourselves up, to fill us up with the highest Akashic wisdom, light, and energy after clearing that energy of war, of pain, physical, emotional trauma, spiritual trauma. All right. Whew. Just dropping back down into our heart center. We're going to have the record keepers fill our heart up with a beautiful golden, it's actually a very rose gold kind of color of pure love, unconditional love. And letting that go from our heart, expanding out into our whole physical body and out into our energy field, washing us with love. Was big. Thank you. Thank you, Patsy, for bringing that into the field to be released. How is everyone doing? Yeah, it might take a little while. I see a little, sometimes pain in your third eye, right? We want to clear, release that out, let go of any visions that felt painful to see, and bringing us back present in alignment with our body, with our soul contract here and now, with the work we've personally come to do in this world. We're not there, so just bringing ourselves back into our bodies, into this time and space.
Wow, Pat, thank you so much for initiating that.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah. Wow, I'm coming back as well. So I can feel it. Strong process. Wow. And again, I wouldn't have brought this up for myself, but if it's resonant, it just comes through. That was profound. It's what I'm going to do, y'all. It's the special offer. April's going to type in the link in the chat box because we have to do housekeeping. See, I can even speak. The link's in the chat box for the offer. The coupon code to work with Lisa individually is in there as well. Highly recommend you take advantage of it. I want to be gentle here as we go off tonight also, because I still feel it running through the field. So Lisa, it's with that. I want to thank you so much for gifting us the time, the awareness, what we have access to in the Akashic now at this time, and just your ability to so stealthily and so gracefully just tune in, translate, and help us shift. What a gift that we received today. Thank you.
Thank you. It is a pleasure always, and a joy to be here with you and with everyone. And really, it is such a perfect time to keep healing yourselves. And yep, there's 10 hours. It's almost overwhelming when I think like there's 10 hours of that kind of healing. I would say do it over time, but in that program, because the record keeper saying it's time for us to clear all of this collective, all of this personal, all of this trauma that we've held on to for thousands and thousands and thousands of years and hundreds of lifetimes. And so I am so grateful for being able to do this healing work with everybody and share this with you. And of course, it's always fun to see you, John. So thank you for having me back on. I'm having a hard time talking
As
too.
always, as always. We're still in this. It's I'm catching my feet a little bit. I'm grounding in, but it's been slow. I'm so surprised at how, yeah. I love you guys. This has been amazing. Thank you all for holding this beautiful space and for going on the journey with all of us. And with that, I just bow to each and every one of you and namaste. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next call.